I'm applying to places, but I can't seem to get any traction.
Rachel now works as a data analyst for a chemical laboratory here in Costa Rica, a very, very renowned chemical laboratory. She makes a great salary, is the best salary she's ever had. The fundamental mindset is, I love that word and you brought it up. A mindset lesson from coaching is definitely the power of adopting a
All right. Welcome back, listener. Today, I have a very special guest on, Coach Allan Rojas. Now, Coach Allan and I, we got connected recently, and he is not only a voice actor, but more importantly, he is a leadership and sales coach based down in San Jose, Costa Rica. And Allan, or Coach Allan, how are you? Good to see you.
Hello, Daniel, and hello, everyone in the audience. I am doing pretty good. It is great to see you and glad to be here. Thank you so much for the opportunity. Love your podcast, by the way. Love what you do. I love how you want to transmit other people's stories to the audience and then, help everyone become better coaches and better in what they do, right? So with
Yeah.
that said, thank you for the introduction. I guess that tops it off and I couldn't ask for more. But thank you. It's
Yeah.
a pleasure to be here. And here we are. Let's go ahead and have some fun, right?
Yeah. Well, since we're on the topic of stories, I'm curious, what does a good story mean to you? What does a good story mean?
So a good story. Oh my God, I don't know where to start.
I leave it
Usually,
vague. I leave it big and vague for a reason.
right, absolutely. I completely understand where you're trying to go, and I appreciate where you're coming from because I've never had the chance to sit down and say, hey, let me go ahead and think about uh my story. You know what I mean, Daniel? Like sometimes we are just, too much, I would say, swamped by either work, by things to do, by, responsibilities, and we don't take our time to think about ourselves, and more importantly, to to do some retrospective work on ourselves, like take a look at the past, take a look at what you have done, try to compare, the positive from the negative, try to compare the successful outcomes from the not so very successful outcomes. So I guess the strengths versus the opportunities and all of that, and put it together and, be able to see how much you have grown. And that's what happened to me the other day, Daniel. So I guess first of all, a good story starts with, you have to know your topic. You have to know what you are going to talk about. Storytelling is an art. And oh my God, Daniel, that has been forgotten for quite a while now. When I was a kid, I loved storytelling. I couldn't go to bed without my dad coming into my room and sitting down with me on the bed and just, telling me the story of I don't know, maybe I remember the little truck who lost his road, something like that, who lost his way. Or maybe the little story of the boy who wanted to be a real puppet. That's a very, very famous one, right? Or the puppet who wanted to be a little boy, or Pinocchio, right? That's just basically to use examples. But I'm talking when I was a kid. Wow. Well, guess what, Daniel? Today I am I'm not gonna tell you how many years old, but I still believe that storytelling is an art, and it helps us explain in a better way, or it helps us go deeper into any topic or any subject if we know how to do it. What do you think about that, Danny?
Hmm. You know, on my business card, it says founder in chief storyteller because I
I
think
love that.
CEO is a little pompous for me right now in my agency. But the reason I put that on there is because in my field of marketing, everyone has a story or everyone needs a story and everyone needs a great story to tell. And especially in our field of coaching, I work with coaches as you're coaching others to be better. And we'll talk about that in a second. But they buy from you for a reason and they've connected with your story. However long it is or however short it is, there's different elements that they've picked up on. And you don't have to necessarily start with, once upon a time. No, it's how you act, how you talk, how you dress, how you move, the things you say online, and honestly, your energy at the end of the day too. So there's another thing that I tell clients is that you're your own flavor of ice cream. I will always eat pralines and cream. I will never eat Rocky Road or the bubblegum ice cream because I just don't connect with it. I don't like it. Same with there will be people that buy from you and there will be people that will never buy from you. And that's okay. The pie is so big. But I want to connect that back, Alan, to the work that you do with others. And so when we talked, I was very inspired by the work that you do, helping others get not only improve themselves with soft skills, but get hired. And I'd love to hear more about that. I'd love to hear about the work that you've done with others and just talk about the fulfillment you get from it as well.
You know what? I love that you touched a very important point, Daniel, before I go into your question, of course, or your or what you want me to talk about. And it's the fact that not every story has to, I think you mentioned not every story has to start with a once upon a time. You know what? That will lack authenticity, and that is one of the most important things in a good story or good storytelling. The authenticity, being able to be authentic, because that's something that people can relate to, you know, and then they can find it inspiring, right? So it's basically to illustrate, I want to say it, illustrate, you know, transformation through, I don't know, something that could be a challenge or something, you know, like a meaningful breakthrough. And you know, that's how you actually find, you know, the best stories, with authenticity, being authentic, being genuine, right? Effective coaching stories emphasizing in you know, authenticity, genuinity. It's just very, very satisfactory. Um, Now, let's go ahead and talk about, yes, my vocation. I love being a leadership and soft skills coach. I guess it all started because I remember you know, going back to what I said earlier during the podcast, in the podcast introduction, uh, looking back to what I have done, looking back to what I went through, you know, the first time I looked for a job, I was 14 years old. Daniel and audience, I am from Costa Rica. It is not legal to have a child, you know, have children or teenagers that age, that young, working. But guess what? Somehow, you know how there's always a way, people always find a way. So back in the day, it was possible, right? I remember I started working at a pet shop. My job was to basically just, you know, clean the windows, clean the up the, you know, the furniture and the desks where, you know, where they would actually put the dog food, the animal food, or the animal accessories that they would sell, things like that. You know, it was a very, very easy job. But guess what? That was my, you know, my very, very first job. So I took a look at how difficult it was for me to get that job. I had to go, back in the day, there was no smartphones. There was no, basically, like, no, almost no technology. It was difficult to find, let's go what we used to call a cyber cafe or internet cafe, to basically create an email account and then create a new email and then start getting email addresses, because back in the day nobody would have an email address. You know, only like the top, I don't know, Fortune 500, Fortune 100, you know what I mean, Daniel and audience. It was almost, you know, impossible. So, you know, basically had to walk a lot, go with, you know, with an envelope full of resumes or curriculums, and basically just, you know, hand off resumes to, you know, random companies, factories, furniture stores, I don't know, food chains, food courts, outlets, malls, etc. That was, you know, back in my day, how I basically looked for my first job. And then eventually, when I had that job, I was like, oh my God, this was very difficult. Then, you know, throughout the years, obviously, you know, society has been evolving and it is out now easier to find a job. But there is still a big gap of people in society, my friends, that still, you know, it is difficult for them to, you know, I don't know, be computer literate, technology literate, to learn a second language, to, you know, in some other countries it is even difficult to have resources, to have the economy, you know, to be able to, I don't know, create a resume or even have a computer, have a smartphone. I'm talking reality, my friends, with all due respect, of course, without, you know, the intention of offending anyone. But these things are actually what triggers that interest in me, Daniel, of helping others. You know, so as a coach, as a leadership, but also more importantly, as a soft skills coach, um, I compel that, this story can highlight, my passion for developing key skills in others. Like I know a lot of people, and you can show me someone, you can introduce me to someone, and after an hour of talk or even less, I'll tell you, hey, this person has this and this and this skills, or this and this and this strengths, and this person needs to work on this and this and this and that. And sometimes people don't even take the chance to help others just like that.
Hmm.
That's just a small talk. That's just, a few words that you can say about someone. But how much value can you add, leadership wise? How much value can you add to someone with those words, with
Yeah.
that wording, right? So you can change someone's life. Maybe you are the first person to ever say these things. I've met people in the past, Daniel, that not even their family members, their parents, have positive words to say about them.
Hmm.
So that right there can transform a life, right? So sharing a narrative of someone that has faced things like this in the past, these things can set people back a lot. So, forget about getting a job, forget about looking professional, forget about developing a career. Wow. So there are way too many things that you can do to help others, and you don't even have to be a coach to do it. Daniel, correct me if I'm wrong. I mean, it's just a matter of caring for someone, and one very important aspect of leadership. Um, it is not about getting to the goal line, but about getting others there to help others
Hmm.
go get to the goal line.
Yeah.
Right? You are successful. You have achieved many goals. How about we help some people achieve their goals?
Hmm.
And you can do it. And you can do it. And a lot of people don't have faith in themselves. Like, I'm not a professional trainer. I don't have a coaching certificate. People think you have to have a certificate from the ICF. No, no, you don't. I obviously respect the ICF. I obviously respect, coaching studies, coaching development, and I respect many, many entities that actually provide coaching courses, and entities that can actually prepare people. And I respect anyone who has a coaching certificate. Of course, I am definitely not trying to talk bad about that. But what I'm saying is, it is not something essential for you to believe that you can help others, and that you can help them grow, and that you can help them get to the finish line, Daniel.
Hmm.
Hey, Daniel Pope here. Real quick, I want to give you a huge thanks for listening. If you're enjoying it, I'd love it if you share with others. That's how I get the word out, by you sharing it with somebody that could really benefit from this. Now, I started this podcast to stand out above the noise, to give real growth tactics in a crazy world when others may give some misinformation or not cover everything you need to know. That's not my MO. My MO is being able to give back, being able to help others see what they actually need to do in order to grow. And that's why personally, my company, Be Known, we don't offer any courses or coaching programs. We're a done for you service provider because we know in this world, sometimes people just need a helping hand, a connected team, and an expert to be there every step of the way. So again, I really appreciate you listening, and talk to you soon.
Yeah, that's powerful. And listener, I want you to realize that I'm sitting here where my mind is going is that there's so many people out there that don't have the benefit and the knowledge and the privilege and also the ability to get up every morning with what we know and how we act and take their life in a fashion that shows that, hey, I know I can do this. I guess what I'm getting at is I think about some of my friends, especially growing up, college, out of college, right after college, and they just struggled with a lot of depression and mindset issues. And I could never wrap my head around, man, why are they going through this? What's going on in their head? And it was for the common things like, hey, I need to get hired or I'm interviewing, but nobody's calling me back. I'm applying to places, but I can't seem to get any traction. And as Coach Allen was talking, I just sat down and really tried to put myself in their shoes where it's not for me to say, hey, just try harder. It's no, it's there are a lot of things that could go on that cause them to, and I'm using the hiring thing just as an example here, but it could cause a lot of things for them to stumble, and they don't have that rock solid mindset that you and I and the listener share, or really the foundation of a rock solid mindset. So, all that to say, that was a long winded way for me to say, man, I really tried to put myself in their shoes as you were talking and say, wow, okay. So if we're given these talents, if these are our God-given talents that you have, that I have, that the listener that you have, you're able to coach and help and give your expertise to somebody. Well, it's our duty to do so. It's our duty to lead from the front, craft something that is a great program, whether we're working one-on-one with people or we're working with 1 to 1,000 people at a time. It's our duty to do so. And if we have these talents, we might as well use them for good. So, with that being said, hey, I'd love to talk about a success story. I'd love for you to share a story about a client that you've worked with and how it made you feel and made them feel afterwards as well, and what you did during the engagement.
Absolutely, absolutely. I love that. I actually love that because I have I can't stop thinking about the one of my latest clients here locally, Daniel, and that is actually something that I'm going to use as a bridge to later on talk about one of my favorite topics, and that is failing forward. But
Hmm.
let me tell you about Rachel. All right, so Rachel is a mother of three. Rachel's husband is a police officer here in Costa Rica. He works full time. So in Costa Rica, most of police officers they actually work full time for about 4 days in a row. These family they actually live in the coast, far in the coast. It's a province called Limon, which is Spanish for lemon, the fruit. And that area is about 7 or 8 hours away from what we call the Great Metropolitan Area, which is where I live. We basically live in the center of the country, where all of the factories, where all of the businesses going on, you know what I mean? And then they live 7 hours away. So Rachel's husband has to travel 7 hours, you know, to the Great Metropolitan Area, stays there 4 days, basically in the headquarters of the police, and then after 4 days he goes back and stays 2.5 or almost 3 days with his family, right? So with that said, they have 3 kids, and Rachel has to work full time as well because it is difficult to feed 3 kids. I am a father of a lovely 6-year-old boy, and he eats a lot, so I cannot imagine how much three can eat, right? But no, jokes aside, so they are a hardworking marriage. And Rachel is about basically was basically working as a dependent on a factory, and she was actually studying data science and also English as a second language. Our main language here in Costa Rica is obviously Spanish, so she was studying English as a second language. And she was struggling a lot trying to create her digital or define her digital persona. What do I mean by this, Daniel? She did not know how to go about creating a professional Facebook profile or a LinkedIn profile. She didn't know about, different freelance websites where you can actually find jobs, Upwork, Freelance, Fiverr, etc. So just to mention a few. But so basically she didn't know a lot about, the digital, or the modern technology that things that are available, things that you can do to basically empower yourself and to also, create your personal brand, right? Create your digital persona, define it, create it, then work on your own personal branding. And then from there, just basically focusing on what your skills are and define what other skills you want to learn, what other skills you want to have, and be able to put all that together. So, I mean, we can talk about it. You can talk about it, Daniel. I can talk about it. I'm pretty sure many of our listeners can actually do it and talk about it. But for some others, it's a nightmare. They don't even know how to start. And Rachel was one of them. Okay. So she contacted me because I was actually, I was doing campaign on a few cities here locally in Costa Rica. And part of that campaign involved basically contacting the audience through social media or basically sending out reels and videos. So Rachel contacted me through one of those reels. I think it was through Instagram, Daniel. And she said, "Hey, I love how you post, the content that you post. I love how you help people because the videos or the reels that I was creating were basically like 8 or 10 second reels. And I would show like 3 or 4 images with some background music, kind of like decent music, nothing too crazy. um, and basically I would highlight someone's success story. Like, hey, this was John. John needed to get a job, blah, blah, blah. John was struggling. He was looking for a job for 3 months, etc. On the left side, and then on the right side, the outcome. John was able to get a job now as a senior manager and yada, yada, yada. So I did this, and she basically contacted me to one of those real videos. And she said, I'd like to know, if I can have a meeting with you or a consultation, I'd like to know about, like how it works. So she reached out to me. I reached out to her. We scheduled a meeting, regular virtual meeting, right? And the next thing I knew, she, handed me over her resumes, her curriculum vitae, all of her certificates, titles for the courses. I requested many of these things. She didn't even know what to send. Like when I said, "Hey, can you go ahead and send me your documentation?" She only sent me her government ID. I was like, "Rachel, come on! I need you to go ahead and send me the meat, the good stuff, what I'm going to work on, what I'm going to help you with, right?" So I guess what I'm trying to say, Daniel, and to anyone out there, is you have to take the first step. What is the first step? Know what you have to work on. And if you have nothing, then just be honest and say, hey, I don't know where to start and I need help. I am pretty sure that there's got to be somebody in your circle who can reach, can help you out. And if not, here we are. I am here. Daniel is there, right? So I guess I'm trying. What I'm trying to say is the difference is just to make the decision to say, hey, you know what? I'm gonna do it. I want to do it. But you don't have to stay there. You don't have to stick with just making the decision and saying yes, I'm gonna do it. No, you have to action that. You have to say, all right, I'll do it, but start doing it. Start working on something. At least start doing something that Rachel was doing. She said, I've been trying to create my own resume, and I know it looks bad, but at least I'm putting the information there. But that's good. That's a good start. You're already putting the information into a piece of paper or a sheet of Word or a PDF, right? And then from there, you can ask someone for help, like Rachel did with me. So just to continue with the story, Daniel,
Yeah.
I took everything that she gave me and I said, all right, let's go ahead and show you how you can go ahead and sell your skills. So one thing that is very important is we have all made mistakes. We have all experienced failure and we have all been unproductive, right? These are inevitable especially in coaching, Daniel, okay? But they are valuable learning opportunities. Key lessons include failure. I'm going to mention one of my favorite stories, one of my favorite examples, and that is Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan, 6-time NBA champion with the Chicago Bulls. Michael Jordan experienced failure and failure over again. He has said it in interviews himself, I sucked. They gave me the last shot many times and I failed it. And because I failed and failed and failed so many times, is that I am successful now. Mm-hmm. So that is my next point, Daniel, failing forward. Okay. So Rachel made a lot of mistakes while she was trying to, create her resume, create her profiles online, her digital persona. She told me, because I asked her, like, tell me, how does it usually go in a job interview? Questions that you usually ask you and what do you usually answer? So, there were many, many areas of opportunities. But listen, I am saying areas of opportunities. I am not saying errors. I am not saying mistakes. So be careful with how you look at things, my dear friends. Everything in life is an opportunity to become better and to improve yourself and to prove yourself. Okay, so this was, in the case of Rachel, this was, definitely one of the struggling points that she had. She didn't believe in herself. She was very negative. She was very pessimist. And I helped her, change this. A lot of times it is difficult for us to embrace humility and view failures as feedback rather than setbacks. And when you do this fosters something that's called resilience. And this is gold, Daniel. This is everything. Once once you master resilience, once you know what that is and you experience it, you can use it to become better. These experiences teach you vital skills like better client screening, like more precise goal setting, the importance of, adaptability, be they able to adapt to others. In every single failure or in every single negative experience that we have, there is something that we could have done better. But we when that happens, we must not let this set us back. We must use this to say, hey, next time I'm going to do it better. Hey, you know what? I'm going to take a look at what happened here. I'm going to take a look at my client's feedback. I'm going to take a look at what was the area of opportunity, and I'm going to take a look at what we did now. If we even whether we achieve delta or not, we're going to take a look at of how we're doing now. And oh my God, there's so much we can learn. There's so much that we can now understand, and now we can even teach others. So it becomes a chain. So this is the beautiful thing about this, Daniel. It becomes a chain. You can start helping others as somebody helped you. So going back to Rachel, she became a pro in, she created a very, very nice LinkedIn profile page. She added information of her, professional background, education history, languages, certificates, courses, seminars. She started working on her network, adding contacts, talking to people, creating content, basically commenting on different pages that feature content that she liked, like data analysis, working with Excel sheets, with Excel data, with SQL, working with both in English and Spanish language. We helped her out with her English skills a little bit so that, we can say that we improved her English skills from a 50% to maybe like a 75 or 80%.
Wow. Yeah.
And props to Rachel, of course, because she believed in herself. Again, let me just say this just to give you a small reminder. Mother of three, husband had to travel, and it was only 3 days with them. And imagine what a difficult life she had. And even with that, she went ahead and believed in herself, and she managed to improve herself a lot. Now, Rachel, to give you the success story, of course, right? Cherry on top of the pie. Rachel now works as a data analyst for a chemical laboratory here in Costa Rica, a very, very renowned chemical laboratory. She makes a great, great salary. It's the best salary she's ever had. And she works 4 days on site and 1 day at home. She's very happy. Husband's very happy. She hand wrote a thank you letter to me, and then she posted on social media. Thank you, Coach. I really appreciate for everything you done. And you know what my answer was, Daniel? No, thank you for believing in yourself. Because at the beginning, I told you, I will help you as much as I can, but I need you to believe in yourself. Otherwise, we're not going anywhere. And that is a very important thing about failing forward, Daniel. All right, you failed enough, but failing forward should involve analyzing what you could have done differently. All right, so adjusting your methods. A lot of it involves taking feedback from others. Rachel had received feedback from many other people in the past, but she wasn't receptive to this feedback. She took it the wrong way. She took it the negative way, and that's only going to set you back even more and more, if you know what I mean. So, the most successful people are those who learn from their mistakes because they develop emotional resilience, and hence you can build a more nuanced understanding of what you really need, and obviously of your reality, and then that gives you, a clear path for you to go get it, for you to go get what's yours.
Wow. Yeah, in that story, listener, I'm sure you heard different gold nuggets throughout. And I want you to really marinate on what was the one big key takeaway that you can have for yourself. For me,
Right.
it was about crafting my story in such a way where I look at my failures as life lessons and I can say, hey, that happened. And so since that happened, I became this. I became the man that I am today. And, I talked recently with another colleague of mine and we talked about skill stacking. And I think there's something to be said about stacking the lessons in life on top of one another so that you not only have a clear picture, but you're able to advance in your career, in life, in your relationship, whatever it is that you're after. But Coach Allan, I'd love to land the plane since we just have a few more minutes here. I'd love to land the plane on any sort of mindset, any life lessons that you can share with others, the listener here, as we go into the back half of this year. And I know this year has been crazy for a lot of people, but that's okay because there's more years to come. I say this quite often to myself. The only way that I can fail is if I completely give up or I die. And I don't plan on dying anytime soon, knock on wood. But if I die, I've got a bigger problem on my hands. Actually, I don't have a problem anymore. So with that said, what can people keep top of mind as they go throughout the rest of this year?
So a fundamental, in my opinion, a fundamental mindset is, I love that word and you brought it up. A mindset lesson from coaching is definitely the power of adopting a growth-oriented perspective. Regardless of who you are, regardless of what your job is, doesn't matter what you're studying in college, adopting a growth-oriented perspective. Okay, so I'm talking about emphasizing, right, that abilities and those abilities and potential, right, can be developed through your effort, through your tasks, through your daily work, learning, perseverance, rather than just being, fixed traits.
Mm.
And I have a point. I mean, this mindset, Daniel, encourages people to see challenge and setback as a valuable. This might sound similar to what I said before, but as a valuable opportunity for growth, right? Because it fosters resilience, but also it's having a proactive attitude towards, like, self-improvement. Again, a lot of times we don't sit back and take a look at ourselves, at our past. And sometimes we have to do it. That's very, very important, because a lot of times you have to maybe reshift your priorities, or maybe you realize you've been working on something that you shouldn't be working on anymore, or maybe it's time to start working on something new, right? So all of this is beautiful, beautiful, because it helps you, cultivate a culture of self-improvement, right? You need self-awareness, but then you need self-improvement, right? Active listening, genuine curiosity. Those are essential components, Daniel, of effective coaching, believe it or not.
Mm.
Why? Because they create a safe space for you, a safe space for individuals, where they feel heard, where they feel understood, where they feel like they can connect, right? Where they feel identified. I mean, from my experience, I can tell you this enables deeper and much deeper self-awareness and a lot of
Mm.
clarity, of course. Furthermore, humility and openness to feedback are definitely important. They can help you break down barriers or defensiveness, and they can help you promote honest, very honest reflection, real reflection, right? Last but not least, I can mention patience and self-compassion are vital. Um, Two things that have gotten lost in the world nowadays, unfortunately. And this is something that can actually make people cry. Um, Recognizing that we need self-compassion, recognizing that we need change and progress, and also recognizing that those two often occur gradually, and that setbacks are just natural parts of life.
Mhm.
They're parts of our journey. They're little tiny stones that are going to stumble upon us, Daniel. But the more you have stumbled upon them, the more experience you have, the better you will do the next time, right?
Mm.
Ultimately, my friend Daniel, coaching teaches us that success is deeply rooted, and correct me if I'm wrong, in a mindset of continuous learning
Mm.
and adaptability, right? And obviously the belief in our capacity to evolve. But all of the above, ladies and gentlemen, are usually only achievable through learning from our own setbacks and from our mistakes. So again, start embracing those failures, start embracing those areas of opportunities. They could be what is going to define that true leadership skill that you are working on, or that you are trying to develop. Go ahead and scratch develop leadership, sorry, and just go ahead and put in anything, any skill that you want to learn, anything that you want to become a master on. I want to become, I don't know, an expert in soccer, basketball, sports, or I want to become a great lawyer. I want to become a great doctor. I want to become a great engineer. I want to be the best chef in the world. Or regardless, again, it doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter what your job is, what your position, what your title is. there is always a way for you to improve. There is always an area of opportunity, and don't see it as an area of failure. See it as an area that you can improve. You're not an expert today, but maybe you can be an expert tomorrow. Practice makes perfect. You can start working on it right now. You can start investigating. You can start studying. You can start nurturing that one subject matter that you want to work on. So again, Daniel, coaching teaches us that success is rooted in a mindset of continuous learning, but also believing in your capacity to evolve, right, to achieve evolution. And this makes personal growth not just a goal, but what I believe is an ongoing, fulfilling process. Okay, so go for it.
Yeah.
Go for it. Take the chance. Take a shot at glory, which is what I usually tell my clients. Take a shot at glory, and who knows, you'll be surprised. But the important thing is that you are doing something. The important thing is that you are working on, and believe me, once you start working on it, it becomes more difficult for you to stop working on it or leave it behind. Just start working on it and just try to grow at least 1% every day. And trust me, you will not be disappointed.
Excellent. Well, Coach Allan Rojas, it has been a pleasure. Thank you so much for imparting some wisdom
Thank you,
onto
Daniel.
me and onto the listener today. And again, there's lessons to be found everywhere. So if you're interested in connecting with Coach Allan Rojas, he is easily able to be found on LinkedIn. It is ALLAN ROJAS. And you know where to find me. I don't have to tell you that. But otherwise, listener, I hope you have a good rest of your day, and we'll talk soon. Take
Thank
care.
you. Thank you, Daniel. Goodbye.
Hey there, Daniel Pope here again. I want to take a couple seconds to talk about my company, Be Known. Now, Be Known exists to be a done-for-you service provider for online-based businesses, coaches, and those that sell online courses and information products. We help them grow from 6 figures to 7 figures and then into 8 figures. We do this because there's so much misinformation out there. So many people just selling a course or just a coaching program over how to grow. Well, we're different in the fact that we actually do it with our clients. We take care of the advertising. We take care of the email marketing, the tech, all the tech. Yes, all the tech, the landing pages, the funnels, the growth strategies and tactics. So I think of ourselves as a expert implementation team plus a fractional CMO per se that guides you every step of the way. So if you've listened to this podcast or an episode and said, okay, that's great, but I don't really know how to do that, or I just need help. Well, that's why we exist. So I want to invite you to a call with me, a consultation where we can talk through your business, talk through what's going on, what challenges you have, what constraints, what bottlenecks, and figure out a path forward. If we're a mutual fit to work together, great. If not, no problem. We'll send you on your way with resources and stuff that can help you get up to speed quick. So again, I invite you to talk more with me, and that is beknownonline.com. beknownonline.com/start is where you'll go. And I cannot wait to talk to you. Again, if you enjoyed this podcast, I'd love it if you can share with some friends. Otherwise, I'm looking forward to your success. Take care.